Yeah. And you might want to, I don't know how you deal with that, because my family come from southern Italy, Calabria, where the mafia is called 'ndrangheta, and they've killed people who have resisted them. And believe you me, that mafia there goes right back to the Vatican. You can see it in the movie The Godfather. That's not fiction, that's true what they're telling you there. It all goes back to the Vatican. The Vatican controls the lot of it. The cardinals are the greatest, most evil sorcerers in the universe. And they are about to be dealt some justice. And we're going to see it with our own eyes. And possibly those FEMA concentration camps that they've built will house a bunch of these types, a bunch of these elite types. Unfortunately, it's not something that you want to dwell on, because it's better to dwell on positive things, but the camps are there and the elites are still around, and we know that they have been certainly poisoning us in many ways, especially in the mind, with lies. And that's what we're here to address.
So how do you get past the presumption of separation of church and state? Like the big public story is that church and state are no longer actually working together, and there's big separation. Yet obviously by all this information it is still run by the church, and all states are run by church. So how do we get past that lie and throw that back into their face?
Well, we have to identify what the Vatican, we really have to reveal what the Vatican is. It's a corporation.
Okay.
It's corporatism. So it doesn't matter what arm of the Vatican, whether it's the banksters, because they're in bed with each other, the Jesuits, the Club of Rome, the Knights of Malta, and all these buffoons.
But they have a zombie army that just does what they want them to do. I mean,
yeah, because there's money.
Think for themselves.
There's money. People, look, unevolved people will do anything for a paycheck. They'll do anything. You want me to kill my mother? Sure, man. $10? Oh, lovely. Bonacci types, you know? George Bush types. We're going to bring democracy to Iraq. Yeah, because, first of all, George Bush and his family, the murderers of JFK and John Lennon, they're going to bring their democracy, their mob rule, to Iraq. Of course they are, because Halliburton, Blackwater and all their corporations are in there doing business with the Iraqis.
But they also had a system of law that was different to Catholic as well, didn't they? The Iraqis, Iranians, Chinese.
Yes.
They're all separate models.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. That's why the war in Vietnam happened, and Korea and everything like that, because it's the Vatican re-establishing and asserting its power in the Far East, in the Americas, wherever it goes, with the UN and with the elite corporations, the trilateralists, the Bilderbergers, the Council on Foreign Relations. It's all rigged. The market, it's all rigged. Everything's rigged, and we need to bust it open by standing up and reclaiming our dominion. That's what the prodigal son's about. Are you all familiar with the prodigal son? It's a beautiful parable. It's in the Bible, right? I've got the New Jerusalem version here. And it's in Luke. And the reason why I love it is because when you understand it correctly, you know who it's relating to. It's relating to us. We're the prodigal son. You see, we go away from our causal, unconditioned consciousness. That's how good we are. I'm not preaching to the. I'm preaching to the converted here. I know you people have got an idea of this at different levels, that how divine you really are. I don't have to convert you. You know, I don't have to scream at you. Please see it. You see it. You know it. And we're starting. We are more understanding the fact that we are more spiritual than we are physical. And what is physical? It's motion. Everything you see that appears to be hard and solid is just motion. There's no substances. We'll get back to the prodigal son. I won't read it, in fact, but I'm just going to explain how the story goes. But before I do, let's just see what Walter Russell has to say about matter and substances. Okay, the physical world. The scientist has not only divided matter into 92 different kinds of substances, but he has divided these 92 substances into atomic systems made up of many more minute particles of somewhere around 20 primal substances. These he calls electrons, protons, neutrons, antineutrons, antiprotons, photons, gravitons, mesons, kappa mesons, positive mu mesons, negative mu mesons, positive pi mesons, negative pi mesons, neutral pi mesons, tau mesons, positive V particles, negative V particles, neutral V particles, and so on. Without an end as yet in sight of the many non-existent substances. They don't exist. They so convincingly act their parts in producing the mirages of substance in this universe that the greatest scientists of this world have not the slightest suspicion that the many different substances of matter are but different states of motion. Now, you're not going to learn that in the universities when you get your degrees. The prodigal son is us. There's a story in the Bible where there are two sons and they both children of a very rich man. And they decide that they're going to, or one of them does anyway, he decides that he's going to venture off down into the world like Narcissus. He went down, 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 and he saw that he was good looking. And so he fell in love with himself. And this is what we do. We fall in love with this material world and all its pleasures and enticements. We go out there and we get a bit of pain and we get a bit of pleasure. Then we had enough of pain, so we would go back to pleasure. And we don't realise that they're one and the same thing. And then when we work out that pleasure is pain and pain is pleasure, then we start thinking about joy and bliss. You see, the prodigal son, he went down and he slept with the prostitutes and he drank wine with his hooligan friends and everything and squandered all his riches. And then he saw, my God, this is vanity. I've come to my senses. I see a bigger picture here. I'm going back to my father because it was much better there. I mean, the food that he gives to his pigs is better than the food I'm eating. So he goes right back to his daddy. When we're out of here, when we're sick of the suffering and the illusion and the material enticements, like the world is so profane, there's advertisements to buy this, and you got this sleazy woman half naked advertising all sorts of products. Buy this and consume that, and here's some money. Come on, get out there and consume as much as you can. That's what these buffoons have created, a world of materialism, because they are materialists. They're not spiritualists. They're not into spirituality. They pretend to be. So the prodigal son, he goes back to his father, and his brother sees him coming up the drive, and the father greets him and kisses him tenderly and says, "My son, you've come back, you've come back." Quickly, he says to the servants, "Get a cow, let's have a feast, let's celebrate this evening." And the brother that stayed with the father up there in heaven, he turns around and says to his father, he says, "What are you doing? You know, I've been with you for so many years, you've never done this for me." And the father says, "Well, he has returned." You know the story of the lost sheep, where the Lord goes out and looks for that one lost sheep? That's what it's talking about. It's us making our return, consciously awakening to our spirituality. And that's why we're here today, to learn more about this. There's no one here. Is anyone here that knows everything? I don't know everything about anything, but I'm sharing what my studies have produced about this subject, and this can help us to reclaim dominion once we know who we are. That we are everything that ever was, everything that is, and everything that will be, as David Icke puts it. And the solutions are here. They're here. I'm going to share those with you.